Hi, how are we doing? How's life? How's everything? I noticed it's a weird angle this time, but I am having a lazy Monday. It has always been a lazy Monday in the last few months, honestly, and I haven't been doing better. I've never done better in my life. Ouch, pimples. How are we? I have new bangs. I know. I think I'm gonna keep bangs for the rest of my life. I feel like it's my look, it's me. Yeah. But I feel like my hair has to adapt to bangs again, so it might take a while before it looks better. Yeah. Today we're gonna talk about feeling like you're the outcast or struggling with belonging. It's something that I have always had to deal with. I noticed that lots of you have the same issue. I have recently concocted a compromise to deal with this situation and this feeling of being the outcast, like you don't belong. I've always felt that when I was in business school, when I was in high school, with my family, with my friends. I always feel like I don't belong. I always feel like I am the outcast, like people don't like me there, or I feel like I'm not really welcomed. And mostly this feeling comes from stupid, intrusive thoughts. It's not true. It's so not true. Mostly it's just your brain playing games and you buy into it. It's just you, your brain, your thoughts, just you. It has nothing to do with the reality. People love you and you think that you're hated or that you're not accepted. People adore you and you feel like, oh, I'm not really it. People don't like me. No. And how do you battle this? First, I would like to say, okay, let's understand. Let's know how to identify that. Okay, this is the issue. I'm not really feeling welcomed. I'm feeling like I am the outcast. For instance, I've always felt like I am the outcast when I was speaking English while everybody's going for French. 7 years ago, speaking English in a business school here in Morocco was was a joke. I was a joke to a lot of people for a long time. People thought I was weird. But it's so dumb that nobody paid attention to realize that I was only responding in English when they would speak to me in French, because to me that is a disrespect. And at some point, because I was young too and I was a child too, I didn't pay attention to the fact that I am making a bold move. I have to accept that I might be an outcast for it, and it's fine. And in my case, being an outcast or feeling like I am the outcast always felt like a victimization tendency as well. I had a tendency of putting myself in the victim place, as in like, why did they do this to me? Why am I always so unfortunate? I was just putting myself in the place of the victim. That's all. I like to think of myself as the victim. I was not the victim. People treated me fairly. I was treated fairly. I was accepted. I was appreciated. But I preferred to think of myself as the victim because it made me feel better. And it didn't make me feel better, really. It simply spared me the hard work of doing better. And taking that and putting that in another example, in family, I would feel like I am an outcast because I felt that I am judging people in my entourage, in my family and my friends, and I'm judging people, I give myself the right to judge them, to tell them how to live their lives, and of course they're gonna react to that, and I think to myself, oh, they don't like me. Well, it's not that they don't like me. It's simply that I should know my boundaries, okay? And their own boundaries. And at some point when you don't respect people's boundaries, you will be not an outcast, but people would prefer not to have you there. And especially if you're someone who values their value system more than anything. To me, my opinion matters the most. To me, my well-being matters the most. It makes sense that for instance, we're a group of friends and we're going out, and at some point I want to go home. I feel like I want to go home. I don't settle. I'm not gonna say, okay, fine. No, I'm gonna say, guys, I want to go home. You can continue without me. I'm going home. And most of the time, I never paid attention to what people might think of this or how would they feel. I was so selfish. I would be like, okay, it's normal. I thought that they would accept that. And usually people are so polite. They'd be like, yeah, sure, go have some rest. But next time they're not going to call me. And it makes sense because to them, maybe she just didn't like our company. They wouldn't understand that I got tired. My social battery ran out. And I think that most of the time, the reason why we feel like we are an outcast is because of horrible communication. Most people who have a very one-sided communication style feel like they are the outcast. Most people who leave loose ends when it comes to their communication, when it comes to their thought process, it makes sense that they would have a lot of issues with feeling like they belong to a group. Now let's put it into a situation where you feel like you don't belong, and it is a problem. If you feel like you don't belong, you have to change. First of all, you have to think to yourself, what does belonging have anything to do with the resemblance? Because a lot of us think that we have to belong only to groups that resemble us. You can belong to a group that looks nothing like you. You don't have to be just like everyone in a group to belong to that group. You don't have to belong to look just like everyone or act like everyone who is in a family just to belong to them, because it's a family thing. You inherited it. It's your birthright. You don't have to belong or fit in a certain mold to belong to a business school or a university or a community in general. For instance, the ADHD community is very diverse community. And sometimes I felt like I don't relate to most people with ADHD. Most people who talk about ADHD have things that I don't have. For instance, the impulsion and the agitated energy and the fun. I'm not that fun. I'm not that active. I like to read books and watch TV shows and get depressed from time to time. I like to cook, and I like to do motherly things, simple, quiet, calming activities. I am very good in academia. I'm great with work and studying. I am very productive. And to a lot of ADHDers, this is a taboo. Like, a lot of ADHDers would be like, oh, I don't think you have ADHD because you can focus. It's not that I can focus, but I have worked my focus game to focus on a lot of things at the same time. I have attention deficit. It's just that I have worked it to become more productive. I can't focus for 2 hours straight or 2 minutes straight. I can't. But at the same time, if I find something that I'm really invested into, I might spend days without eating, without sleeping, just doing that thing. When I was learning how to sew, I would spend hours sewing. I would spend 4 hours making a pattern, 5 hours cutting the fabric, probably 3 to 5 hours suing the thing, and I wouldn't even feel the time passing. If I am motivated to do something, I would just do it. But at the same time, if I'm not depressed, if I am depressed, I might have the best opportunity of my life in front of me and I wouldn't take it. All of these things might not relate to a lot of people from a certain community, but it doesn't mean that I don't belong to that community. Now, I would like to talk about the need of belonging. You gotta ask yourself, why do I need to belong? Like, am I in need of belonging to a group because I'm not comfortable on my own? Am I in need of belonging to a group because I'm not strong enough to be alone or to focus on my own thing? Because a lot of people add to themselves a lot of discomfort, a lot of overthinking, just because they think that they have to belong to a group because they can't survive alone. We're not wolves. We're not animals. We're human beings. We can survive alone. We can survive alone. It's totally normal. It's fine. You can live alone. You can survive alone. You have your family, you have your friends, you have your group of friends. It doesn't mean that you have to belong to a certain community or group to be okay. You don't have to. And the fact that you have a certain thing that defines a group doesn't mean that you have to belong to them. I'm an academic. I'm a professional and a professor. I don't belong to a lot of groups of professors that I know. I don't act like them. I don't talk like them. I don't live like them. I don't fit in the mold. Does it mean that I'm not a professor? No. Does it mean that I'm not worthy of the status that I have grown into? No. And that's how I use the same logic with other people. I feel like the fear of not belonging, or the feeling of not belonging, or having issues with belonging and feeling like you're an outcast, has a lot to do with judgment. If you're judging other people all the time about this, if you're all the time being like, this guy is so unprofessional, how could he be a lawyer, for example? Or this lady looks horrible, like she looks horrendous, how could she be a model? Oh my god. Or like, I heard someone say the other day, I met a lady and apparently she's a judge, a legal judge, and she looks like she has no charisma. And this person met this judge elsewhere, not in the court. And I thought to myself, this person would judge herself later, thinking, oh, maybe I don't fit in. It's something, I feel like it's a two-way street. If you judge people all the time for how accurate they are to their position or their identity, you are going to feel like you don't belong. You're going to have a lot of issues with belonging, and you are always going to feel like you're an outcast, because the more pressure you put on others, the more you make on yourself. Yeah, I guess that's all for today. That was today's wellness check. Thank you so much for listening. Please share this video with your friends. Excuse me for the view and how the angle is so messed up this week. Sending you love. I feel so uncomfortable about my hair because it's not perfect yet. It's gonna take a little time to be better. So yeah. Bye.